name is David Carter. I'm with the Kansas Energy Program within Engineering Extension at Kansas State University. I am joined by Yvonne Cook, one of my coworkers with the Kansas Energy Program, and someone who will be unseen and unheard today is Ryan Hamill. He's our co-conspirator in the Energy Program, and the three of us like to keep busy and do a lot of things, and this KidWind Challenge is one of those. So just to begin thanking our sponsors, we have a number of organizations that have committed time and resources, financial resources to this, so that it becomes even better and more useful for all of the schools that are involved. Our main sponsor is the Kansas Corporation Commission. They're the ones who provide the resources for Yvonne, Ryan, and I to work with these. But we also have some private sponsors: Enel, Green Power North America, NextEra Energy Resources, Westar and Evergy right now are kind of in a dual mode. They're going to merge their branding probably within the next year. And then we have Wolf Creek Nuclear Operating Corporation and the Wolf Creek Young Generation and Nuclear Group, which is part of Wolf Creek, that are providing some resources to us. And as Yvonne said, this webinar will be recorded. So if you have colleagues of yours that you know were not able to make it from different schools or from your school, would certainly like for you to share this information for them. So just a little bit of background about how this started. The Kansas State University has been part of an NREL sponsored wind application center for a number of years. And as part of that, a number of the wind application center universities hosted these KidWind Challenges. And Dr. Ruth Douglas Miller was always the one who did that for the K-State Wind Application Center. But she left sometime in 2017. So in April of 2018, we held our first ever KidWind Challenge with the Kansas Energy Program. And as part of that, I mean, and it was a great time. We had a lot of teams and a lot of students and a lot of creativity in that room. But we realized that we were only pulling schools in from, roughly a 2-hour radius of Manhattan. And we realized that the travel was a barrier for schools from the other corners of the state. So we decided, even before we finished that KidWind Challenge, that we would try and host regional challenges, and we committed to that, actually. So we're actually going to have 4 regional KidWind Challenges, and then the winners from each of those regional challenges will compete at the statewide competition to determine which teams will be invited to the National KidWind Challenge. That national challenge will take place in Houston, Texas during the American Wind Energy Association Conference on May 20th to 23rd, 2019. And before anybody freaks out about, hey, look at all the travel that's involved, one of the reasons we're so excited to secure sponsorships for these challenges is that those will enable us to not only pay for travel, but hopefully for stipends for teachers that have to have substitutes during the time that they are taking a team or 2 or 3 to the regional or to the state or national KidWind Challenges. So we hope to provide a lot of financial resources for both travel and stipends for those. So here are the 2019 dates and locations. We're going to kick it off on February 7th in Southwest Kansas at Dodge City. That's going to be at the Village Square Mall. And then the second one is going to be here in Manhattan at the Unger Complex. That's where the Engineering Extension department is. That's February 14th, so Valentine's Day. We recognize that. But that's the time that fit best. So that's going to be the second challenge. And then the next one is going to be in the southeast part of the state, in Burlington, which is going to be at the Wolf Creek Nuclear Power Plant. They have very nice facilities there for the requirements that we have for the KidWind Challenges, and that's going to be on March 1st. And then March 7th, the next week, will be over in Northwest Kansas and Oakley at the Northwest Kansas Educational Service Center. And so all of these people, the Northwest Kansas Educational Service Center, the Village Square Mall, and Wolf Creek Nuclear Power Plant have basically donated the use of their facilities to us. So we're able to do that at no cost for getting the facilities. And then finally on March 30th is when that's on a Saturday. That's when the statewide challenge is going to be, and the reason we chose a Saturday is because we wanted to get maximum participation from the parents that might be involved for the kids that are on the team. So those are the dates and locations. So we tout this as something that is the probably most interactive wind technology exercise that students will get to participate in, and so they'll have lots of fun, but what else will they get out of it? Well, one of the goals of the KidWind Challenges is that the students discover wind energy technology and careers that are in these STEM fields that are related to renewable energy. I don't know how many of you keep track of how large of an increasing percentage of renewable energy makes up our energy portfolio in the United States, but it's becoming larger and larger, and these companies are begging for technicians that will maintain wind turbines and solar panels and hydro fields and all the other equipment associated with the renewable energy technology. So we need students that have been exposed to those industries and then hopefully get inspired to continue on in those fields so that they can meet the demand. So that's one of the things. Well, but the fun part is that they'll get to design, build, present, and test a functional wind turbine that competes against others, their peers in a supportive environment. So as part of our KidWind Challenge, well, actually as part of all the KidWind Challenges, the turbine performance testing is only a part. Then they also have the knowledge quiz. They have a presentation, basically a report to a judges panel, and then the judges panel has some questions that they'll ask, mainly to make sure that the students are the ones who actually prepared the wind turbine, and they know why they went with this particular design, what kind of problems they had, what kind of experimentation did they do, and as a result of that, did they take a turn, elsewhere to modify their design based on that experimentation. So that's what the students will get out of it. What we want you to do, particularly for those in any of the regional challenges other than Manhattan, where we've had the event before, is we'd like to register as soon as possible. That enables us to be able to see how many teams are looking to participate in these, and then we can commit our resources to those. We are not going to hold you to any particular region. You can choose the regional event which you think makes the most sense for your team. And then we have the registration links and location details on the kansasenergyprogram.org/KidWind Challenge. So based on the schedule that we make between the turbine performance, the knowledge quiz, and the judges panel, we can only have about 16 teams before we start running out of time during the day. So each regional competition will be limited to 16 teams. If we receive more than 16 team registrations, we'll contact schools that have perhaps a larger number of teams that they hope to bring, and we will ask them to reduce the number of teams that they're bringing to the regional challenges. Typically, the way the schools would do this is they would host an internal competition and bring only the top 3 teams. For the regional KidWind Challenges, the top 2 teams in each division, there are 2 divisions, the 4th through 8th grade and the 9th through 12th, will be invited to attend the statewide KidWind Challenge in Topeka, and that's going to be at the Kansas History Museum. And the top 2 teams in each division at the statewide challenge will then be invited to attend the national event in Houston, Texas. So, particularly for those in the new regions that haven't been tested before, it's just as hard for us to get out there as it is for you to get over to Manhattan. So if we see that we don't have at least 2 teams or 2 schools that have a total of 5 teams, that we don't have those numbers registered at least 2 weeks ahead of the event, the challenge in that region may be canceled. What we would prefer to do is, if we notice that registration is going fairly slow, we will keep pushing out promotions to hopefully encourage more participation. And we, of course, would like everybody who's on this webinar to help out with that and try and convince their colleagues that, hey, this would be a really good thing to do. If we do have to cancel the regional event, those schools can choose to switch to a different regional event. We're not trying to punish anybody. And we will have to come up with a policy on the event of cancellation due to weather. We do live in Kansas, and we recognize that weather can change, in 15-minute increments. So we'll, together with our sponsors, we'll come up with that. Keep in mind that Ryan, Yvonne, and I do have to, we'll have to come up or come over or down or whatever. From Manhattan, we'll be driving. We'll have, we'll be driving a cargo van that has all the equipment in it. We're not in a Hummer. so driving in snow or, well, basically snow and ice are the 2 that we're concerned about. So these are a few basic rules for the KidWind Challenge. These are certainly not all of the rules. So I would encourage you to go to the KidWindChallenge.org for more information. They do have the rules, the 2018 rules, which are currently in effect for that. And those rules are also linked on our website because we want you to know, exactly what you need to do. A KidWind turbine generator is the only required part, but you can, as a team, choose to make your own generator. If you do make your own generator, you have to make sure that it is direct current. If it produces alternating current, then you'll have to find a way to convert it to DC. Each team must have its own turbine and base. You can't switch those and modify the turbines in any way between one team to another. So if your school has 3 teams, they all have to have their own turbine and base. Each team also must have a coach. There is no set number of students that can be on a team, but keep in mind that the larger the team gets, the bulkier it gets, and perhaps there might be some students that don't really have a full purpose during the event. So, we've noticed that teams of 3 to 5 are pretty manageable, and everybody seems to be involved. So just keep that in mind. The rules do, we will not, at any of the challenges, we will not have time to manage any of the students. So the KidWind organization and we would require to have at least 1 culture adult for every 10 students to help manage them through the process. For each of the areas, the turbine performance, or actually the setup area, which is going to have a practice wind tunnel in it, the turbine performance testing area, the judges panel and the knowledge quiz area. We will have volunteer runners that will escort the team from one place to another. So the student teams are never really saying, hey, go over there without an escort. So they'll always have somebody with them at all times. But that's just to get them from one place to another, not to manage anything that might be going on within the team itself. Two of the areas, the knowledge quiz and the judges panel, are going to be restricted to just the students on the teams themselves. So we won't have a coach or a parent allowed in either of those two areas because we want the students to work on themselves, to work for themselves in those areas. These are some of the pieces of equipment that will be used during the competition. We have the competition grade KidWind wind tunnel. We actually have 3 of these in our possession. We use 2 at the competitions, one which is set up as a practice wind tunnel so that the students can put their turbine in there and make sure there's no catastrophic failures. We'll have a sensor at each one of those so that they can also see what the performance is, and they can tweak and make modifications in the performance or in the practice wind tunnel before they go to the performance tunnel. If you have to do an internal competition, we do have that 3rd wind tunnel that is available for loan. All of our equipment is available for loan. We would work out a way to get that to your school if you needed it. So just keep that in mind. We also have the energy sensor. We're using the Vernier Go Direct energy sensor. It's Bluetooth enabled. It's actually pretty slick. We used that at one of the K-State engineering classes that had a project to build and design a wind turbine. Those are actually very handy. This measures the energy output over time. We use 30-second performance testing in our wind tunnels, and the students are allowed to, I think we have 5 minutes for them to test, and they're allowed to do as many runs as they would like. The rules, however, require that we use the best trial for the performance scoring. And then we have an anemometer which measures the wind speed, and we'll measure those for each performance, each team that goes in. So that's it for the KidWind Challenges, basically. We just want you to let you know where the rules are, what some of the equipment is that will be used, but we want you to be excited about it and to register for some of the regional challenges. But for the Kansas Energy Program, we want you to know that our equipment that is available to schools goes beyond the KidWind Challenges. We have a number of different pieces of equipment. They're all energy related to energy education. So you can see we have the bikes that light up the different lights on the light board so that the students can not just know which light bulb is more efficient, but they can actually feel it as they're trying to provide power to those. We have infrared cameras. We have solar panels that you can do. We have a hand crank, which is similar to the bikes, probably more suitable to some of the smaller children. And we have had, I don't know, Yvonne, what do you think? Children as young as 3 using the hand crank?
Yeah, as young as 3, and some of the special need kids that aren't comfortable getting onto a bike have really enjoyed it as well.
Yeah. And so they can really tell the difference there. And then we have, of course, a number of different Vernier sensors. We have the LabQuest Mini, which can be used with a number of the different sensors that Vernier has. So we have that available as well. And we have a number of data loggers. I don't know if any of you are familiar with these, but this is a very, very handy piece of equipment that you can use. You can put these in a small place, and depending on what parameter they're measuring, this looks like it's a light on-off occupancy sensor data logger. So you can put that in a location and just leave it in there, and it will just quietly gather measurements, anything from 1 each second to 1 each hour, depending on how you set it. And then you can use that to have your students look at what the, whether the lights are on when there's nobody there, or what other kind of energy management recommendations you can make at the school. So those are pretty handy. The last thing that we have is we designed a breakout room based on energy efficiency. And as you can see, it's not really a room, but it can be set up in basically any room that you want. We designed it to where it all fits into one shipping container that we can bring out to you, or that we can actually ship to you. Or we can just bring it out and set it up and have you go through it and be there as you go through it. So all of the equipment is in there, all the instructions are in there. So it is a fully contained escape room based on energy efficiency principles and topics. So that is basically it for what we have, other than our contacts. Again, David Carter, Yvonne Cook, and Ryan Hamill. I am going to unmute all so that if there are any questions, we will be more than happy to answer them at this point.
They just unmuted everybody.
Yep, everybody is unmuted.
Yep. Do you have any questions?
I don't.
Yeah, I think we're good on our end.
And if you think of any after this, you can always email us at that email, and we'll answer them.
Okay.
Well, so I guess I'll ask a question. Has anybody on the webinar participated in a KidWind Challenge previous to this? Okay, I'm seeing some no's.
No.
Nope.
Okay. It is really exciting to see what the students come up with in terms of design, and to me that's the most fascinating part to it. And there are on the National KidWind site, there are tips on building wind turbines. So you don't have to be experts in this. In fact, we did a STEM workshop, and what Yvonne, in one morning we had the students design wind turbines and test them in the wind tunnel. So it's not anything that takes huge amounts of time, but of course you can put huge amounts of time into it. So.
Okay, David, we have one raised hand and one question.
Okay.
So Derek, if you want to go ahead and ask your question. If you're having problems speaking, you can go ahead and type it in and we'll see it.
Oh, okay. So Lori did ask a question. Where can we get a generator and how much does one cost? I think at this point, well, okay, so I'll tell you that you can purchase one from Veneer. The cost is $7, so it's not a huge amount. We have several that are available, and I don't know, Yvonne, I haven't done the math. If we had 16 teams,
That's the only need. You have to have that base.
let's see, 16 times 4 times 7.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could maybe commit to providing one for everybody that needed one.
But we'd want that too. So you can really
And then Derek said that he participated at the Small Wind Conference last year, and he said it was very cool.
Or it's free.
So
I think it's free, but if it's not free, I know we have it because I used it at high school.
and
What did he ask?
oh, Okay.
I had a question.
Yep. Yeah, I have a question. Where
Yes.
does most of the content come from on the knowledge quiz? We haven't done it before, so I
Okay, we make it up.
what to have them.
So yeah, we make it up. I will tell you that this year we will put some information because we want the sponsors to be involved. So we will put up information about all of our sponsors. You know, how much wind capacity they have. You know, different things like that on our website, and those will be ripe for picking out questions in regard to being on that knowledge quiz.
Mm-hmm. So most of that would just be having them research and pick through the website about sponsors.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Part of it. Some of it's going to be general knowledge as well. I mean, if you're building a wind turbine,
Yep.
what are the parts of a wind turbine?
Right.
Yep.
There might be some
About
other
the
things
obvious
just
stuff.
based on the design.
Okay.
There might be some trivia for like what Kansas produces
Mm-hmm.
compared to somewhere else in the States, or maybe the US compared to the rest of the world. Just general knowledge on wind energy.
And we will have different knowledge quizzes between the regional challenges and the statewide challenge. So sorry, but those who have been to the regional challenges aren't going to get a break by going to the statewide challenge and seeing the same quiz.
And last year we did provide the coaches after the event, and we were able to put all the information together with the score sheets from like the judges on the judges panel, since they weren't able to be in the room with them, and that so they could see where their kids were at in these different areas.
Uh-huh. And then they all just take the quiz. So if there's a group of 5, all 5 take the quiz at the same time?
That is correct, yeah.
They take it together as a
Okay.
group.
Perfect.
Good question. Yeah, and they seem to have a fun time doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we will wrap it up. Thank you for your time. And yeah, hope to see you at one of the challenges, and certainly, you know, pass it along to your colleagues as well.
Thank you.
All right, take care, everyone.